we will be looking at a few uses of Minor Illusion today, which can be an overlooked cantrip. So here I am, I'm with the Githyanki Patrol. I'm just starting the cutscene, just going to skip through it. So they're there, they're neutral currently, they've got yellow circles beneath them. My sorcerer here has Minor Illusion. I just want to point out that at the moment, if I cast it, nothing happens. They ignore it completely. So what we need to do first is attempt to start combat. So just gonna throw something and at the same time run away. So what I really want to do here is get them hostile. So now we see that the circles beneath them are reds. They're going to heal themselves. We'll let them do that thing. We'll let the fire run out. And then I'm going to go with the sorcerer. Now, if you're worried about being caught, let's actually go to turn-based mode. Minor Illusion can be cast while sneaking, and you stay sneaking. And this also applies to being invisible. So actually what I'm going to do, because I can be sneaky, I've actually got a warlock here with the invisibility spell. Now, I actually just loaded up an old save. I got very lucky having the correct characters and the right sort of combination. So we get invisibility up. Make sure he hides and runs away. And then at this point, I can actually just drop in turn-based mode. Don't even need to be sneaking. So what will happen just once only, if I cast Minor Illusion, make sure that the Githyanki are within the range of it. Although it doesn't look like they're going to move. We cast it and they will all go and investigate it. I don't think the invisible one does. Now, they're not going to stay like that for very long. This is the time to pause it. And then from here, I'm not actually going to go through the fight of the Githyanki Patrol. I'm just trying to show you use of Minor Illusion. At this point, I could get the Sorcerer to... Actually, it doesn't have very many AoEs ready. He's used up his level 2 spell slots. He doesn't have Cloud of Daggers. Perhaps the Warlock could set up Cloud of Daggers. Perhaps the Druid here could come along and cast Flaming Sphere or Spike Growth or Moonbeam, all of which are fairly good choices. But you see everyone left turn-based mode, after they've investigated Minor Illusion, they all walk away. And if I go back to the Sorcerer, I just want to show this. And I use Minor Illusion one more time. They will come and gather around together. And going back to turn-based mode, I can maybe try and get the Druid to come along this time. So this is a way to group up enemies ahead of a fight. During a fight, enemies will turn towards the illusion created, but they won't use their movement to walk towards it because it will disappear. Maybe I'll cast Flaming Sphere. That will start combat. Thankfully the Sorcerer is out of range. Flaming Sphere will always be a good choice to start with because they'll attack the Flaming Sphere and it won't take damage. Anyway, so from there you can... Oops. Sorcerer got put in there. You can use AoEs to your heart's content unless this happens. My Sorcerer is a bit too close. So one use of Minor Illusion is to group up enemies before combat starts. So when you start combat, you can start off on the front foot. I could have maybe used a Void Bob to try and suck them off the side. Could have maybe had the Druid come closer and use Thunder Wave. Could have used an Arrow of Roaring Thunder, perhaps to try and knock them off the side. And that will happen in other fights too. So I'm in combat, and the Sorcerer here is in a bit of a pickle. But I've only got a couple of my characters in the fight at the moment, being the Warlock here, who's actually an accident, and the Sorcerer here. I want to get the Ranger closer so we can sneak up on one of these Minotaurs. And if I hold down Shift... oh, where's it going? Oh yeah, right, I can't see the sneaking cones at the moment. I don't quite know why this happens. It just does sometimes. Anyway, regardless of whether we can see the sneaking cones or not, just before I started recording, this whole area was covered in sneaking cones because this Minotaur can see down into these steps here. So what I am going to do is cast Minor Illusion here, hopefully without having to move. Oh, that'll be okay. So now I've turned the Minotaurs, although this Minotaur sneaking cone might be in the way, we'll find out. Hopefully I can walk up here. But I've turned the Minotaur around. This won't get lots of use in combat. It might just be useful every now and again. Maybe if you've got two characters moving on the same turn or something like that. So now I can actually get my Ranger up here and do what I want with him. Perhaps I want to use Piercing Shot against the Minotaur. And I've still got my Druid here, who is currently a Deep Rotate and sneaking along, although it looks like she is gliding, but hey ho, maybe that's how Deep Rotates sneak along. Ah, I didn't quite make it. Maybe she's a bit too big. I should have jumped up the side there. But yeah, I can't see the sneaking cones. I really am pressing Shift. They're not turning up. So every now and again, do keep in mind, Minor Illusion can change which way enemies are facing. However, the big downside to it really in combat is that it uses an action. With the Sorcerer, if I had any sorcery points left, perhaps I could have quickened it, but that's a 3 sorcery points, which is quite high, to turn that into a bonus action. Another use for Minor Illusion in Baldur's Gate 3 is not one that's for combat. So say you're here and you want to pickpocket Volo, which I can't at the moment. In fact, what I'm going to do first is dash. We can cast Minor Illusion, maybe behind the bear. And then they'll go and investigate it, thereby changing the sneaking cones. Now I've not put them into great positions. Oh, that's just worked out nicely, hasn't it? It will disappear, but in turn-based mode they won't move. Oh, I'm not in turn-based mode, that's the problem, isn't it? Let's try again. Put it about there. Now unfortunately, if you do it... Oh, there we are. Once they get to a nice position, you go to turn-based mode. Then we might be able to sneak up. I don't know if the bear's going to be in the way, the sneaking cone of the bear. Just about outside the sneaking cone of the bear, apparently. And now I can pickpocket Volo. Maybe not to my heart's content. Maybe grab that potion of invisibility. Grab the Volo's eye, because it's a pretty good item, and so on. Oops, that one failed. Might get into some trouble. Thankfully, Volo doesn't mind being pickpocketed from too much originally, but don't hang around, don't do it too much. So we can change the position of some NPCs outside of combat, but it kind of seems to depend on who they are, because this didn't work with the Githyanki Patrol when they were neutral, as it were. They weren't hostile. So I just want to point out again that it seems like with a lot of NPCs that are neutral, whenever we cast Mirror Image outside of combat, they are seemingly ignoring it. I can't tell you why Volo and the bear do go and investigate the Minor Illusion. However, when we do it here, nothing's happening. But this isn't necessarily completely useless, because when we, or if we start combat, I could have used sneak attack, everyone actually turns towards where the Minor Illusion was. So at this point, I can now get my other guys to come and sneak in. And again, it's a bit like setting up combat. It's just you can preset it, and then while these enemies, well, they weren't enemies and they were neutral, they didn't actually disappear the Minor Illusion, so you can kind of play around with it, as long as you're not caught and seen, to make them turn in any particular way you want to. So now I really could get my other characters to come in here and get surprise attacks in, or get attacks because we're hiding, and then get put into the initiative order after that. Now, since I'm in the area, I do just want to point out that this little window here is in the perfect place to hit that coiled rope. Which, if you didn't know, kills those 2 guys immediately. It does change the formation and placing of the enemies inside the chapel somewhat. One other thing you can do is try and change the direction everyone's facing, so you can try and get away from them. So I've got Astarion here. I started combat with just Astarion, so he's the only target that enemies will be looking for. Now I know he's a thief. I'm trying to ignore, or a rogue. I'm trying to ignore the fact that I could use a bonus action to disengage. But if we stick Minor Illusion just here, everybody turns around, which is good. We can still see that if I'm trying to move away, I'm going to take an opportunity attack because the arrow coming from Gimblebok here. But if we hide, which anyone can do with a bonus action, at least currently, and now I move away, there will not be an opportunity attack, which is nice. And now I'm outside of everyone's vision. On their turn, they're kind of confused, they can't see him. Well, she might be able to see him actually. Not quite sure what's going to happen. It's kind of like he just got spotted. Yeah, there it is. So it didn't quite get far enough away, but you know, took away a couple of attacks for the cost of 1 action. I could try and use it again, but then we'll look around. Unless I can find a way to get up here. As a thief in particular, this is quite good. In fact, I wouldn't even need to use Minor Illusion here really, because I can hide and dash, and you can dash while hiding, and I can get away. So like this use of Minor Illusion to turn people away, to make it easier for you to hide, won't necessarily be useful all the time. And I kind of just want to say that about all the uses I've shown you in this video, is Minor Illusion is probably rarely going to be the best optimal thing to do, but you should always keep it in mind, because it's always good to have it as a kind of a trick up your sleeve, a tool to use, and both Astarion and Shadowheart come with it as well, so it's quite likely you will have at least 1 character with Minor Illusion. Alright, so that'll be it for today. Let me know of any other uses of Minor Illusion that you have that I've missed out. Maybe there's something major. Thank you very much for watching. If you made it this far, please do consider subscribing, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.